Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Manas Sahimani. I'm a prosthodontist by profession and I'm here to discuss about the topic evolution of shade matching in aesthetic dentistry. I'm going to be covering this topic under the following headings. Firstly, what is the importance of shade matching? Why do you need to know about it? The answer lies in the two pictures that you can see. The left picture depicts a perfectly shade matched anterior teeth, whereas the right picture shows anterior incisors which are poorly shade matched and very conspicuous and very visibly seen. So, a beginner might think that shade matching is a very easy process, but that's a very rookie mistake because unless you know the basics of shade matching and you understand the importance of every factor, you cannot convey the same to the technician and thereby get a good prosthesis in return. And that will compromise one of the most important factors in the success of a prosthesis, that is patient satisfaction. So, for a successful practice in today's world, where aesthetics are given so much of importance, one must understand shade matching and the basics of color science. So without any further ado, let's get started. The first attempt to quantify an abstract thing such as color was done by Professor Alfred H. Munsell in early 1900s while doing soil research. So he has said that color can be defined, the color of any object can be defined by three factors, which are hue, value, and chroma. He said that color can be depicted as a wheel with spokes running around a cylinder, with the wheel being hue of a particular object, chroma being the spokes, and value being the rod. So hue, what is hue? Hue is the basic color of an object. That is, when you say an object is red, yellow, or blue, you're talking about the hue of the object. Next comes value. Value is nothing but the brightness of the object. So when you say an object is bright compared to the other one, you're talking about the value. Now what is chroma? Chroma is nothing but the degree of saturation of an object. That is, when you say a particular fabric has a rich blue color compared to another one, you're talking about the chroma of the object. Subsequently, the Munsell's color coding system was further modified once computers came into play. So then came the Scilab technology, wherein value is denoted by L, hue is denoted by A, and chroma is denoted by the alphabet B. The strength of the system lies in its ability for interpretation as equal distances across Scilab color space, consisting of approximately uniform steps of human color perception. So this is having color distribution in a three-dimensional space, which is very close to the human eye color perception. Therefore, it's more accurate. So this technology is used in most of the recent color tabs or the color coding systems. We'll discuss about it in the further slides. So what are the other factors you need to keep in mind while giving a prosthesis or fabricating a prosthesis? I'm going to be discussing about each one of them. The first one being fluorescence. Fluorescence is a phenomenon of absorption of shorter wavelength light and spontaneous emission of longer wavelength light. So fluorescence is shown naturally by dentin of a tooth. So more the dentin fluoresces, lower is the chroma. You need to keep this in mind because when you're giving a prosthesis, especially in the anterior region, when it's an all ceramic prosthesis, unless these factors are also duplicated in the artificial tooth, it will not mimic the natural prosthesis completely. Next comes opalescence. Opalescence is the phenomena by which materials appear to be of one color when the light is reflected from it and another color when the light is transmitted through it. So hydroxyapatite crystals act as prisms, natural prisms, and opalescence of enamel brightens the enamel and gives it a lifelike appearance. The next factor is translucence. A tooth can have low, medium, or high translucency. So depending upon the adjacent teeth, we also need to make a prosthesis of similar translucency to mimic a natural tooth. And finally, the most important factor while doing the shade selection process itself is metamerism. Metamerism is the phenomena by which two objects appear to be color matched under a particular light source appear to be mismatched in another different light source. That is, when you keep one kind of a light, they appear to be color matched. When you see another kind of a light, the same two objects appear to be mismatched. So why is it important? This is important while doing your shade selection, because to mimic the natural tooth, the processes should be shade matched under natural daylight ideally. But then you cannot do it all the times in a clinical practice. Say the patient has come in the evening time without a natural daylight. Then what do you do? Because two objects might seem to be color matched in a yellowish incandescent light or in the whitish fluorescent light. But in the daylight, due to metamerism, they won't appear light matched. They won't appear to be shade matched. To overcome that, you either do shade matching in daylight or you use color corrected lights. So color corrected lights have full spectrum light source which is similar to the natural daylight with a temperature of around 5500 Kelvin. So these days, a lot of color corrected light sources are available for shade matching. Such, for example, one commercially available such light source is Magic Wand. So what are the other factors which need to be there around in a shade matching environment? First of all, the patient should not wear any bright clothes or any lipstick or any other makeup. Next, shade matching should be preferably done in daylight between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the clinician should be at least at a distance of 28 to 33 centimeters from the patient during selection. And the shade taps should be placed either above or below, but not beside each other to avoid binocular effect. This is a very important factor. Next comes the factor that teeth which are to be matched must be very clean. You have to first clean them. Next, the shade matching firstly should be done before the beginning of the treatment, not after your tooth preparation or after you have altered the tooth in any form, because even dehydration tends to change the optical properties of a tooth structure. Therefore, shade matching is always done before you start the treatment. You take the case history, you do the shade matching, and then you start the procedure. Then, shade matching environment. Next comes the environment, wherein the ceiling should have a value. In an operational environment, the ceiling of any clinical practice ideally should have a value of 9, and the reflecting surfaces should have a value of at least 7. And the matching should be done very quickly, within 5 to 7 seconds. Why is that? To avoid eye fatigue of the operator. If you keep staring, you will tend to make mistakes. So in case it has happened, then once you experience eye fatigue and you're confused, then you should ideally look at a neutral gray shade tab or pastel shades. So the observer can look at a blue or gray cards to rest their eyes. Walls, staff clothings, draping, etc. also will influence. Therefore, they should always be in pastel shades or neutral gray shades. The environment around should be in these colors. Okay, now let's start discussing the various commercially available dental shade guides. First, I'll be discussing about the manual guides and their evolution through the times, and then the recent advances. So the first commercially available shade guides were nothing but paper tabs. They were they were used fully controlled paper tabs to represent each equally spaced 125 locations in color space. Although it was not a commercial guide, but I mean it was first one of its kind. So what they did was they used 125 different colored paper tabs, which were like small post-it notes. So what they would do was they would color match with the tab. Whichever color is matching, they would paste it and give it to the technician, or they would follow that while making the processes. But the problem was these colors were paper tabs. Therefore, the optical properties that we discussed about weren't there. While duplicating it in the porcelain, mistakes were made. Therefore, the next kind of shade guide came into place, which was Clark shade guide. So it was similar to Hayashi, but this was porcelain shade guide, which was developed around 60 years ago with around 60 tabs, 3 basic hues, 19 values and 6 chromas. But even this was kind of complicated. Next came Spectratone. It used 12 hues. The viewer had 36 values and chroma variations of hue. A total of 256 selection tabs were available. But as you can guess, with 256 tabs came a lot of confusion. Therefore, It led to the development of one of the most famous and very basic shade tab, which you must all of you must have seen in clinical practice at some stage or the other, which is Vita Shade Guide, which is VitaPan Classic 1. So VitaPan Classic is divided into four basic categories: A, B, C, and D, which represent the different hues. A being hues of reddish yellow, B being hue of yellow, C hue of grey, and D hues of red, yellow, grey. So first you need to choose the hue of the color tab which is matching with the adjacent teeth. After you choose A, B, C, or D, then you have to choose the numbers which are represented as 1, 2, 3, or 4, which is nothing but the chroma. So first you choose whether the teeth fall into which A, B, or C, or D category, and then you choose the chroma of increasing order. So then you say it is A1. That means the tooth belongs to a reddish yellow hue of 1 chroma category. So the limitation of this was it was not uniformly positioned throughout the tooth color space, and no standard incremental difference between adjacent shades, and in between shades were inaccurate. It was basic, but it had some pitfalls. So the sequence in the shade matching system I'll be explaining in detail because this is basic shade tab which is used everywhere. So understanding this is very important. So as I have already explained, first you choose the hue A, B, C, or D. Then you choose the chroma 1, 2, 3, 4. But value determination is also very important. So how is that done? Value is determined with a second commercial shade guide whose samples are arranged in order of increasing lightness. Assessment of value is most effectively done by observing from a distance, standing slightly away from the chair, and squinting the eyes. So if the independent value determination is lower than the value of the sample selected for hue and chroma, a change is usually necessary. So what it means is, so in case the process is you are confused between two values, right? So always choose the one with the higher value, because reducing a value is not possible by adding color. So in case you add certain shade, when you give a prosthesis, the patient is not satisfied. So you can never increase the value. You can only decrease it by adding shade. So adding shade or stain to it. So always remember, when you're confused between the two, always choose the higher value, because you can always reduce the value but never increase it. Next came chromascope. Chromascope is arranged in groups based on hue. 100 is the first group, which represents whitish hue, 200 yellowish hue, 300 orangish hue, 400 grayish hue, and 500 with brownish hue. Within the groups, again, they are arranged according to increasing chroma from 10 to 40. Next comes the very important shade guide system, which is these days, this is the most commonly used and one of the most accurate shade guide systems, which are manual ones. Amongst the manual ones, which is VitaPan 3D Master Shade Guide. Why? Because VitaPan 3D is dependent upon, it is based out of Scilab technology that we discussed, and VitaPan Classic is based out of Munsell system. So Scilab system, as I've already told you, is more accurate and it's more nicely spread out according to the human color perception. Therefore, this is more accurate. So the shade is placed evenly in even steps. Each Scilab step represents 4 units of hue, 2 units of value, and 2 units of chroma. Okay. Because of even spacing, intermediate shades can be predictably formulated. So that problem which we spoke about, say you have a hue of 2.5 in VitaPan Classic, it tends to cause inaccuracies. But in between shades in VitaPan 3D Master are easy to duplicate. So this shade guide looks somewhat like this. So yeah, you might find this to be more complicated than VitaPan Classic, but I'll tell you how the shade selection is done in this in various steps. Step 1. So the step 1 in this shade guide in VitaPan 3D Master is you have to choose the value group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which of these? So first you choose the value group. After you choose the value group, each value group has vertically 3 tabs. Those three tabs determine the hue. Determine the chroma. So first you determine the value, then amongst the three vertical tabs you choose the chroma. After you choose the chroma, you choose the hue. So in every group you will have vertical 3 units which represent the chroma and horizontal 3 units which represent the hue. So LMR are the denotations given for three different hues, yellowish to reddish. So first you choose the value, then you choose the chroma and you choose the hue in Vitapan 3D Master. Next comes Dentin shade guides. So when using a translucent all ceramic systems for a crown or veneer preparation, communicating the shade of the prepared dentin to dental laboratory is helpful. So sometimes in all ceramic preparations, because it doesn't have a metal backup, so the underlying color of dentin also tends to show up in your processes. And in these kind of sensitive cases, you need to use dentin shade guides. So one system provides specifically colored dye materials that match the dentin shade guide values and enable the technician to judge the restoration aesthetics. So in case of such complicated cases where you require such precision, you need to use dentin shade guides. Next comes a shade distribution chart. So it's not necessary that the entire tooth, when I'm talking about this, when you see, for example, some patients tend to have fluorosis. So in those people, you might find fluorosis stains. But how do you tell the technician about it? How are you going to convey it? Or you might find that the teeth are incrementally yellowish in color when you're proceeding gingivally. So how are you going to convey this to the technician? That can be done by using shade distribution charts, which distribute the teeth into 9 quadrants, as you can see in this picture. So when you use these kind of charts, then you can give even more specific specifications to the technician, like add hypocalcification here or make it more translucent incisally. So you are giving more of characterization. Therefore, you are making it more aesthetically mimicking the adjacent teeth. So what are the drawbacks of manual shade guides in general? The drawbacks are largely these shade guides depend upon the operator's accuracy. The color of shades from a given manufacturer may vary from guide to guide. So guide to guide discrepancies are possible, usually seen. The porcelain of guide is not necessarily the same as the porcelain used for restoration. The guides do not duplicate the manner in which the porcelain restorations must be constructed, especially in thickness. So your shade tabs may be much thicker than the processes. So that also sometimes tends to lead to different discrepancies, right? So all standard shade guides are 3 to 4.5 mm in thickness, whereas your standard crown is around 1 to 1.5 mm in thickness. So that also leads to some discrepancies. Next, the light is reflected and transmitted through a shade tab, giving it translucency and vitality, whereas in restoration, light is reflected and barely transmitted, making it look more dense and opaque. So you have to keep these things in mind while using the manual shade guides, but not much can be done about it. So that's when it led to the development of digital shade guides. So any digital shade guide goes by the following principles. So there will be a detector which detects the color, then there will be a signal conditioner which conditions that whatever color is detected, and there will be a software that processes that signal which is transmitted to it. So these are the 3 basic steps. So any digital shade guide, usually you can divide all the digital shade guides into 3 categories. First one is colorimeter, next one is spectrophotometer and photoradiometer, and the third one is digital cameras as filter colorimeters. So firstly, what are colorimeters? Colorimeters are instruments that approximate the spectral function of standard observer's eye and are engineered to directly measure color as perceived by human eye. So they absorb the color and they try to perceive it, and their mechanism of action is kind of similar to that of human eye. So colorimeters measure the tristimulus values and filter light in red, green and blue areas of the visible spectrum. And the filter colorimeters are generally use 3 or 4 silicon photodiodes that have spectral corrections filters and that closely stimulate the standard observer functions. So they're trying to mimic the natural light. So, but then there are a few drawbacks of colorimeters, which are their inability to match the standard observer functions with filters while retaining adequate sensitivity for low level lights. So, whenever there are low level lights, usually there are some mistakes made by the colorimeters. Okay, next. Fiber optic colorimeters are the further modification of colorimeters, which were devised by Burgett et al. In 1990s, which use small field observation and large field illumination. That is, they observe very small areas and the illumination field is larger. So these fiber optic colorimeters are more precise compared to the conventional colorimeters. Next comes the spectrophotometer. So what are spectrophotometers? It is a device that measures the spectral reflectance of a body. A spectrophotometer measures the reflectance from each wavelength and allows to calculate the values. Today's spectrophotometers contain monochromators, photodiodes that measure the reflectance surface of product's color every 10 nanometers or less. Okay, so let me explain. So first, in a spectrophotometer, the basic function is the picture, the black picture. So let's look into it. There will be a light source. It emits certain light. So it passes through a monochromator with prism. So then all the light becomes monochromatic. So a polychromatic light source becomes first monochromatic. Then that light source falls onto the tooth structure. And then whatever the tooth structure is reflecting, it's transmitted to a transmitter. And then the transmitter further transmits this into the detector, which and then the computer finally records it. So as we have discussed previously, here also there is a light source, then it is reflected onto the tooth structure. Before reflecting, the polychromatic light is converted into a monochromatic light, and whatever is transmitted is processed onto the computer finally. Next comes digital cameras as filter colorimeters. These are the newest devices used for dental shade matching, and they are based on digital camera technology. So like any other normal digital camera, here also the smallest measurement unit is pixels. So to get a full color image, most sensors use filtering to look at the light in 3 primary colors. So any color that is given to them is split into the 3 primary light colors and in a manner analogous to filter colorimeter. So how do they record it? The highest quality cameras use 3 separate sensors, each with a different filter over it. So 3 different sensors to sense the 3 different primary colors transmitted from the light source. Next, the light is directed to the filter area in combination, and then whatever is transmitted is recorded. So there is a software. So whatever is recorded, how are you going to use it as a shade matching system? So they have developed certain softwares which function along with digital cameras as shade guides. So such recent software is ClearMatch software. So what they do in this is, in using these softwares, first they use a manual shade tab, and they record all the shade tabs and they feed it into the software, and that is used as the standard. Then after that, there are clear instructions. So you are supposed to follow these instructions to record the shade. So first, what you do is you take a corner to corner picture of the patient, and then the photographs taken along with the black background, and the shade tab is placed near it. And the patient should not lean or recline, should not wear any lipstick. So you take such a picture using a moderate cost digital camera of around $800 to $2,500. So you use such a good digital camera, then you take a picture with a shade tab, with a black background. And then that directly what happens here is that photograph is directly used for selecting the shade. So that makes the procedure pretty simple, right? So this kind of software enables in quickly and easily and effortlessly taking the shade. So in these, what is the advantage of all these digital systems? These digital systems reduce the manual errors. So these kind of things can be used very easily rather than the conventional ones. So type of measurements used in digital shade selection. They are spot measurement or complete tooth measurement. So either you're measuring each tooth surface, you're keeping the sensor onto each surface of the tooth or in some kind of digital shade guides, you use the complete tooth measurement at once, right? So the advantage with spot measurement is it's you can measure each tooth surface differently, right? So it's more easy to do for posteriors, whereas when it comes to complete tooth measurement shade guides, the size is much bulkier. I'll be showing you the pictures, you'll understand better. So the advantage, the example for spot measurement is Vivadent Easy Shade, and the example for complete tooth measurement is MHD Spectro Shade Guide. So these are the currently available digital shade guides. So you might come across some of these. The most important ones here are Shade Eye. It uses a colorimeter technology that we discussed. Vita Easy Shade. They use a spectrophotometer. Vita Easy Shade is another up and coming, very common, very famous shade guide technology, which is digital. And Clear Match, as I have told you, is a software which uses a digital camera technology. Crystal Eye is a spectrophotometer. So here I have given, these are some of the examples with pictures. As you can see in the first picture, SpectroShade, it's a spectrophotometer based digital shade guide. It measures the entire tooth structure. You cannot place it and do it for posteriors. That's the disadvantage. Next, you can see Shade Red Dental Vision System. It's a spectrophotometer. This is a spot. It records each spot. So it can be easily used for posteriors or on the lingual surface. But again, it might lead to some inaccuracies. So you have to be careful. Shade Scan is a digital colorimeter example, and Vita Easy Shade uses a spectrophotometry technology only. So as I have told, the major advantage for digital shade guides is it makes your procedure faster. So, and also the manual errors, that is the operator's errors, can be reduced. But there are obviously a lot of limitations to it. You might find that, taking a photograph and getting a shade directly, that's much easier. But then there are few limitations. Let's go through them. The first one, obviously, it's the high cost and the cumbersome nature. The translucency mapping is inadequate with all of the systems. So translucency, it cannot be easily recorded. Positioning of the probe or mouthpiece seems to be critical to the repeatability of the measurement. In case you are repeating, you have to position again in the same place. And none of the above instruments are sophisticated enough to function in a formulatory model yet. And for this approach to be efficient, the laboratory must have the system as well, right? So if you are giving a digital camera image for, say, to a basic lab, they cannot simulate it unless they also have the same software. Therefore, this is still up and coming and research is still going on. So then afterwards, to measure the accuracy of manual versus digital shade guides, certain studies were carried out, and the results which stated clearly that more than anything else, the most important factor which helps us in giving the processes that mimics the natural tooth to the maximum extent is having your basics right. So the dentist must combine their scientific knowledge of color science with the artistic aspect of porcelain preparation to achieve the ideal results. There has been a lot of research done in the recent times for developing a good digital shade guide technology, but we are still a long way to go to achieve a very accurate, affordable and reliable digital shade guide technology. So all the up and coming dentists should actively pursue and do some research on these digital technologies while having their basics right, and also they should encourage the new technologies that are coming up. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. I hope I have been useful in making everyone a little bit more aware about the importance of color science. Please leave your queries in the comment section below. Thank you so much.